Hey kids, here we are again. Of course, I got another one for you. Pheonix, the mid to late '80s. My ex-brother-in-law and sister, who was pregnant with my nephew, and my niece. She was a few years old, 7 or 8, hell, I don't know, somewhere in there. Weird age. We ended up calling her Fred. We told her when when her mean personality came out. That was Fred. It was strange. That's not the story. we, Me and my brother-in-law, of course, we smoked together and we got high before we left. We got high all the way there. Well, in the north part of the mountains. Pheonix Valley is down below there. Down below there. We're in a Sunbird. The four of us cramped in there. My niece and me in the back seat. My sister in the passenger seat. My brother-in-law driving. And I'm cornered from my brother-in-law so we can pass back and forth, and chit-chat and whatever. Well, something woke me up because it was getting late. And I fell out. And you got to remember, like I was saying, let me set this up right. He was driving this Sunbird, and we were hauling a snowmobile trailer behind us, which has only got sides on it about yay high, 2 foot, maybe a little more high, full of their stuff, basically. So and it's so wide that it's about this much wider than the car itself. It looked odd as hell. So I wake up. I'm on the top of the mountains there, heading towards the Pheonix Valley, and I happened to glance over to my right. Oh my God, it was close. And I looked over, and my brother-in-law, he was asleep at the wheel. I reached over, I grabbed the wheel, and I knew and I brought it back over a little bit, slowly. I knew his first reaction was going to be to pull to the right. So I grabbed that wheel real tight. I said, "Hey, Dwight, wake up!" First thing he did, he wanted to yank it right now. I went, no. Get a hold of it. Get a hold of it. And he's like, oh shit. And they have these pull-offs for people whose brakes go out. The sand pits and all that. Our brakes weren't out, but it wasn't. But just up the road after he got control of it. And I tell you, if it had went that much more, that trailer would have pulled us right off that hill right then and there. It scared the living crap out of me. But anyway, I got there and I didn't know anything about construction. It was going to be my first experience at it. Brother-in-law, he got a job at a local place, or not a local, but a place up the road from where we were staying. And he said, "I'll take you to this one, U.S. Carpentry, who was running it in Pheonix Valley." It was during a break, so everybody was there, about 250 guys. And I found out what his name was, and I said, "Is there a Mr. Benton here?" This little bitty southern dude. "Yeah, that's me." And I looked at him and I said, "You pay your laborers $9 an hour. I want 10. And after the first week, If I'm not working out, I'll ask you, and all you got to do is yes or no me. And if you know me, I'll walk away. First paycheck came, and I looked at him and I said, and he looked at me and said, "You're worth more than that." He handed me a check for $11 an hour. Yeah, I was rolling joists on the second floor. I could pick up a 20-footer and walk down other joists from the first floor or even the second floor, no problem, because I knew there were other joists running the same way. And if I fell, all I could do is hold onto that joist, and you got a 20, 10, whatever, even a 6-footer would have stopped you from going through the floor joist, So you kind of got good at it. Put up hangers to hold the joists and all that crap, man. I got so good at it that they've been putting me in the lumber yard. That's where things got nice, because I only had to put a few joist packages or wall packages together, and the um, the foreman, he always had the fork jack, always running around with that, and he'd stop in and he had one of those huge water barrels there with ice and water in it, and his old lady would put in just enough lemon. It quenched your thirst a lot better. Well, what I learned is the first 2 weeks when I was there, I wore a long sleeve shirt in the Phoenix Valley. When you show up to work about 4 a.m., you can barely see your hand in front of your face. Back then, we didn't have a lot of electrics, cordless crap. We had to run power cords and air cords for the compressors and stuff, for the air nailers. Hell, even air nailers were just starting to pick up back then. And you learn how to drive a 16 with an East Wing. And I hamburgered my thumb up a couple different times. Yep. The whole time I was there, it didn't get below 102. You walk out of your barely air-conditioned apartment, and it's like when you open up the oven door, that just rush of heat hits you. Well, even at nighttime. Yep. Let's see. I write this stuff down, by the way, folks. I'm just reading my notes here. I got so good at it, though, and Mr. Benton there, the Southern gent, he was so happy with me. He I ended up having to take a couple of days off to get a tooth fixed. It cost me $385 to get one tooth pulled, and I was headed towards many more. What you paid for wasn't so much the care. When I showed up there, it was a circular building, all connected. One hallway went all the way around. And inside the circle were the rooms. Well, inside those rooms, they'd open up a curtain when you sat down in the room, and there was a living terrarium right there. You were paying for the maintenance of that terrarium, basically. It was ridiculous, man. So I got back and I decided, well, I had just barely enough money to get a bus ticket back to Michigan, where for a price like that, I could get them all pulled if I needed to. And I knew I was headed towards more trouble. That dry heat just seemed to bring it out. My damn brother-in-law wouldn't loan me $20, and I could have taken a plane. Yeah, well, 4 days later, I had a carton of cigarettes, and I had just enough money to buy a jar of peanut butter and a loaf of bread to bring me back. Anyway, before I left, I told that Mr. Ben, I said, look, I'm going to have to go. Um, I'll work to the end of the week because then I knew I'd have enough money to get home. And I said, but I'm going to have to go back to Michigan. He handed me his personal business card and said, hey, you ever come back to Pheonix, and I'll pay you double what you're making right now. I wish I would have went back. The regrets of an old man, right? But yeah, the trip back, jar of peanut butter, loaf of bread with first stop we made. And that about broke me. I had enough cigarettes. Back then you could smoke on the bus. Yep. Back, just so far, so many aisles back. I'll never forget that. I just thought I'd like to share that memory with y'all. Hey, if you like this story and the others I've got already downloaded, go ahead and hit that like button. And please do share. People like to hear a good story now and then. And don't forget, subscribe. Because if you subscribe, that'll add on. And one day I'd like to do some live stuff, but I'm going to wait till I'm a little further along in what I'm doing here. Until then, my friends, peace.